Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Penny Lane Podcast with one of my best friends, ChampagneShark. I met Champagne in Shark Trader's room, the Shark Tank, and we have become great friends, and this was a delightful conversation. This podcast is brought to you by Penny's Going in Raw and Last Bottle Wine.
The stock market is hotter than ever right now, and traders are taking advantage. But what does that mean for the people who still haven't started trading? The market can be a little intimidating at first, but you don't have to be alone in the learning experience. We at the Penny's Going in Raw podcast are here to help you. I'm Dan, and with my co-host Hugh Henney, we make the stock market a fun but informative experience for our listeners. We offer knowledge for all levels of traders, from beginners to those who do it full time. On PGIR, we discuss up-to-date news about the stock market and interview other traders who all started out just like us and made it big. You'll hear from Hugh and other multi-millionaire traders, founders and CEOs of companies, FinTwit superstars, and even professional athletes. Have you ever thought about investing your hard-earned cash but don't know where to start? Do you have money just sitting in your savings account collecting dust? We were all there once too. Listen to Penny's Going in Raw on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Champagne, hi. Welcome to the Penny Lane Podcast. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the invite. Much unexpected, but happy to be here with you guys today.
We're happy to have you. Justin.
Thank you.
I'm equally as happy to have Champs here.
Justin, I saw a photo of you yesterday surrounded by bottles of wine.
Well, we do have an excellent sponsor in Last Bottles, and I'd like to think of myself as a sponsor of Last Bottles the other way.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. So they sponsor us, but in turn you sponsor them. A symbiotic relationship, if you will.
Well, and that's what a true partnership is all about.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Have you opened any bottles of wine recently?
I have not, but you know, when you're buying wine like you can buy from Last Bottle Wine, it's to be shared. And I haven't been around enough people to share them with.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you don't have to share, but...
True, but the fastest way to gain friends is one of two things. Bring alcohol, like a great bottle of wine, or a Taco 12-pack from Taco Bell.
Don't do that face, Blaine. What are you doing?
We've
all been there.
I'm not a Taco Bell fan. I'm just not, so...
Okay.
Well, you can change a whole party by walking into it with a taco.
Is that 12 tacos in a pack?
Mm-hmm. That's why they call it a Taco 12-pack, Blaine.
Have you and Kate ever pulled up to a Taco Bell and gotten a Taco 12-pack for the two of you? I would put all my money.
No,
yes.
Not for the two of us. That's not fair. That's not nice. That's not nice. Yum Brands, great product. Yeah. We really appreciate it.
All right. Well, Champagne.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's get into it.
Great start.
Sure.
Great start.
Yeah.
So I'll just start by saying I'm probably, I've listened to all of your episodes. You have a lot of great day traders on here.
Wait, have you really?
Yeah.
That's like probably 70 hours of your time that you'll never get back.
Do we owe you money?
Should we send you some Last Bottle Wine?
I'm here to support Penny Lane, okay? That's what I'm here for. So it's great listening to the episodes. I like getting, other perspectives and, trying out different things and, just hearing, maybe a viewpoint that you're not seeing or might be, have some blinding that you don't see. And so just getting some insight from other people, different ways to look at things, different strategies is always fun. You got to be, a student of the game. You got to be willing to change up your style. If something works for you, then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. Like the markets change. You need to try a different strategy. And I think, I think a lot of people experienced that when we went from, when you could just put like three letters into Robinhood, buy a stock, and it would just go up. Everybody's the best investor in the world in a bull market, right?
Totally.
Then we saw that huge, a big pullback where, the small caps really started cooling off, and a lot of people just didn't know what to do. And, that's when you have to identify that there's been a momentum shift. There's been, a sector change. There's been a rotation of money, and you have to follow the money. Like, you and I are not moving the markets. We're just trying to ride the waves of the markets. So, just hitch your wagon to a star and let it take you somewhere.
So you are an investor, yeah, not a trader.
I do both. I like trading for fun, but I definitely have the lion's share of my portfolio and long-term setups. I'm the boomer of our trading group. I love dividends. Like, what's better than getting paid to own something and do nothing? But yeah, I still day trade. If I have time throughout the day. That's the one thing you have to be aware of. You have to be mindful of the fact that, like, if you have a plan entering a trade, you have to be able to still execute said plan. Like, you have to physically be there. So if you have kids that are pulling you away, if you have a job that's pulling you away, that's something that you have to be mindful of, and maybe you have to exit a trade early. Otherwise, you're going to come out and you miss the pop, and then all of a sudden, that green play went red, and nobody wants that. So I like it, and I do it when I can. I like trading, but if the market allows, I'd love to swing stuff. But overall, I always keep the majority of my funds in long-term stocks.
Listen to this thing that happened to me today. I had those QQQ puts that, like, the whole tank was trading, and we're waiting, I guess, for SPY to break that big support. I picked my son up from school, and I was up $200. Now, my son goes to school in the woods, essentially, and there's a 4-minute dead spot when you exit his school before you can get on the highway. And I've been in this trade 3 hours or something, and I was like, 4 minutes is going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So as I go in the dead spot, I saw that massive pop that QQQ got at the end of the day. And I was trying to close, and was just in the dead spot, and had no choice but to just continue on down the road to try to get to the highway. And then when I was finally able to close it, $14. Now, whose fault was that? That was my fault. Why? I was trying to trade when I had too much going on. I know better than that. That could have been, I also didn't have a stop loss, so I could have just gotten destroyed. Anyway, lesson I just try to teach myself once a week just to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost literally thousands of dollars in trades, and you're just because work pulled me away from something that I had to go take care of something urgently, and then you come back and you're like, what happened? It made the move you wanted, but if you're not there to execute, then forget about it. It doesn't matter.
Now, Justin, you may be looking at Champagne and be like, what kind of work could this guy possibly do that would pull him away from a trade and he would have to leave? He's a doctor.
I am wondering. So let's talk about that, because for me, if I'm working, trading is hard, because if you get into a trade and then I walk into a meeting, for you could be patient,
a
surgery,
life and death situation.
I don't know what kind of doctor you are, but here's the deal. Your brain is not there, right? I'm thinking about, what trade did I just take? Did I overextend? Did I take the right side? Did I set up my proper limits, right? I'm not even present in what I'm doing. That is even less possible for you.
Yeah, and I learned the hard way that I need to tailor my trading to what I'm capable of doing throughout the day. I know that there's so many people out there who work just regular 9 to 5 and are just trying to trade just to get a little extra spending money, or whatever it can be. But you have to be aware of what time frames you're trying to trade in. I don't even trade 0 days. There's no point. I don't have the ability to sit and watch a trade, watch it develop, wait for the if you're doing like, a SPY 0 day, all you need is like, a few cents of a move, and all of a sudden, your contracts are moving. So I mean, I just stay away from 0 days. Just get a week or two out on an option play. I like to look at longer time frames when I'm looking, looking at charts and stuff. Definitely always just kind of looking at dailies and just thinking about bigger picture. Like if I'm looking at even, going down into like 5 minute, like that's way too short of a time frame. That's great. Like I think a lot of people use that for day trading, and they can be very successful with it. I just don't have the time. So like I have to tailor my trades with that in mind. And that's just kind of becomes, it can be frustrating, but that's just the nature of what I do. So I have to do that.
So let's get into the time thing for a second, because if you can't day trade and you're not sitting in front of charts, and certainly some days maybe you are, some days you're not, but like on a Sunday, is that when you're putting in some time to figure out what's going on this week? Are you doing that at 11 o'clock at night? And I'm really asking this selfishly to know.
You love
what should I be
question.
doing?
You love this question. The Sunday night prep
I
for
feel
the
like
week,
it's the secret.
It's the Sunday night.
Is it? Is that?
No, that's really that's really
ticket?
what it is. Like I'll come home and like I guess the nice thing is I don't so much get caught up in kind of like the day-to-day movements, because I'm just looking at bigger time frames. So I can kind of see how things are like slowly developing, and that's kind of more of like a swing kind of investing mindset that you kind of go with. You look at like big themes that are happening rather than just like, that news pop that happens, that's up and down, and then, that was it. So yeah, I mean, when I come home at the end of the day, I always, look through some of my, favorite stocks, things that really like to move, and, see how those charts are building up, and, try to see what a good entry point would be, and really try not to force anything, because I don't have time to babysit them, like these trades. So I'm always willing to let something come down to like a lower time frame, and if I hit it, great. If I can get in, fantastic. But if it leaves without me, it leaves without me. Like there's thousands of other stocks I can look at.
Mm-hmm. Another quick hitter for you. You mentioned dividend stocks, but then you also mentioned 0 days to expiration, which indicates some option trading there. And you also mentioned that you like to hold a lot of long-term plays. So big question, are you selling covered calls?
No. So that's been a hot topic in our trading group, and some people love doing it. Unfortunately I just I haven't had the time to figure out the ins and outs of it. Like I want to know everything inside and out before I really dive into something, and I'm not the person who's just going to like take the advice of somebody on the internet and be like, well, I'm just going to buy this, do that, So I really want to have like a good understanding.
That's how you get rich.
That's how some people definitely got rich for sure. But yeah, no, I just haven't had the time to figure it out, unfortunately. I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but it's okay.
Well, it's interesting because it's like there's certainly money to be made there. It's technically a bearish play, right? I mean, you can own the stock long term, but you're also making a bet that it's not going up. Because if it does, well, you get called. So it's an interesting thing to do. You can also do it, when you're in a bad spot as well.
Some of us know.
There's that. Yeah. Okay. We could move on from that. It's an interesting topic, though. It's like you learn about it from speaking of boomers, you learn about it from folks who are doing it out of their retirement funds, right? And they're like, this is a long-term thing. I don't really care. Why don't we generate some additional revenue other than, market gains? And they can make some money in those accounts. And also, if they lose the stock, it doesn't matter, right? So but then there's plenty of ways to do it for folks like us that are a little more active in trading too, or some of us. But all right, we can move past that topic, Blaine.
So Champagne, how long have you been in the market, as they say?
Yeah, so I originally got into the market when I was in college in the big '08 dip.
Wait, how
That
old are
was,
you? Do I know that?
I am 32. I had to think for a second.
Yeah,
32.
that happens after
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
You,
So I was like, let's see, '08, I don't know, I was like 18 or 19.
okay.
And it was a very refined trading strategy I had where, remember '08, that was like banks and automakers just absolutely just tanked, just absolutely got wrecked. And so I'm like, well, like what's a world where like there isn't like Ford or GM or like Bank of America? So I mean, I'd been working for, my life up to that point. I had my first job at like 14. So I'd saved up like a good amount of money, and then I just dumped it into shares. I'm like, this is probably going to go up. I don't need the money right now. Like I had scholarships putting me through college, and so I'm like, I don't need it. I can just let it sit for a couple of years, and it worked out. And I'm like, wow, this is the greatest idea ever. And so I'm pretty opportunistic. My first like real taste of investing, and it was like so easy. Like you just put it in there and you don't think about it, and then you come back to it in like a couple of years, and you're like, wow, oh wow, it did go up. That was fantastic. Okay, that worked out. And then I didn't really do much with that money. I just put it into I'm a Vanguard guy. So like I just put it into like a Vanguard mutual fund at that point and just kind of like let it ride out until I was in medical school. And then at that point, that's when we went into, the COVID crash, right? So that was a wild, wild time. And I had some success when, we had the '08 crash. And so when COVID came and like absolutely ruined the market, first off, terrible, terrible time for me job wise. There it was like the scariest time in the world for everybody in the medical field when it started. Granted, it was like so long ago, people don't remember, but like we didn't know anything, and you're having to go into work, and you're like putting on like garbage bags and respirators and stuff. You're like, this is insanity. Like you feel like you're in like some sci-fi movie. But so the upside of it was that the stock market crashed, right? That's the perk for me because I had been just kind of working through my residency and I hadn't been doing a whole lot, no massive trips or anything exciting. So I had a bunch of money saved on the side, and I'm like, I'm not gonna miss this. So I was like sitting down, like doing math, figuring out like how much money can I absolutely just chuck in the market and let it just sit for a couple of years and not need. Like I'm trying to figure out like to the penny, like to make rent that month. So I will get by with every single dollar I can in the market. And so it was Delta, Spirit, and I went with Norwegian. And I mean,
well, trader,
that was,
but okay.
Okay, not everybody is a fan of CCL. But that was it. I mean, those were some of my like biggest moves. Is literally just being opportunistic, and when the opportunity presents itself, just being prepared and having the ability to just chuck money, at something that, if fear is driving the market, if everybody hates something, then that piques my interest. I'm like, all right, let's talk. Like, let's look at this. Like, should we hate it this much? Is there a reason that this should be this horrible? So like what's getting absolutely annihilated right now, like Peloton, right?
Facebook, right?
Meta.
Or no?
Facebook is like a fantastic thing, right? I think that's like a huge, opportunity that's sitting there because remember, I'm not looking to like day trade it necessarily, right? I'm talking about in 5 years from now, is Facebook going to be worth more than it is today? And I feel like most people would say yes. Is Facebook going away? Is it going to disappear? Is it going to go bankrupt? No. Like I think that they had some, a bad earnings report to say the least, and not great, outlook. And right, so the market's allegedly forward looking, but it's imperfect. I mean, there's plenty of inefficiencies that you can find in the market and you can take advantage of. Like, did Spirit Airlines need to be like single digits? Like, no, it was like, I think it was like $60 and it crashed down like instantly. Like, that's what, like, the worst case scenario is they get bought up by somebody and then it pops and then you take that win and you're done. So, I mean, I just look at things with like a much longer time frame. So if I see something that's like being unfairly beaten down, then that's something that I'm really interested in and thinking about. Can I just get into this, swing it long term, and just, you know, see where it can go from there?
So on the flip side of that, are you pretty particular with high valuations, and the other end of that being if the market's there or if it's gotten there, then you're either too late or it's time to get out, or one of those notions, right? So it's the polar opposite of if no one's there, why, and is there value, which is what you're talking about. And the other side is like, well, if everyone's there, I'm late to the party, so can't touch that with a 10-foot stick, or it's time to rotate.
Right. Yeah, I think that's absolutely, like, that's exactly how I look at things. Like, if everybody hates something, I'm like, all right, I'm interested. Let's see where this could possibly go. Like, is there a reason that we need to hate this? Is this like a terrible company long term? But also, if everybody is talking about something, if everybody loves something, like when my fiance's mother asked me, like, should I be buying GameStop? I'm like, this is over. It is like, this is a lady who does not invest. She should not be asking me about this, that it's dead. Like, you do not need to be part of that like huge frothy buildup. You know, you don't need to be, you're just going to get burned. Right. And unfortunately, some people
She's just trying to go to the moon.
I know. Like, and, you know, I was trading plenty, like, you know, fairly actively trading when that was going on. And, like, there's no way that I would be able to like hold somebody's hand through like those volatile movements. Like, for somebody that's never been in the market, granted, some people did fantastic, like getting into, like, you know, GameStop and AMC and stuff like that. But, you know, to hold somebody's hand when this thing is making, you know, just wild, massive movements, like, I'm like, I can't coach somebody through that. That's not going to work out. But I think that's a good indicator. Like, when something gets, you know, really popular, everybody's talking about it, you know. If your grandmother texts you and asks you about something, that's maybe a sign that this is like, it's kind of run its course. And, you know, the money has been made, and it's got to take some time and consolidate and kind of find its actual valuation rather than, you know, the big frothy numbers that you might be seeing. So
are you short guy? Do you take shorts ever?
No. I'm a bull investor. I think that you can always find, you know, there's a bull market somewhere. Always.
Thanks, Kramer. Well, and you know what? That's true. The bull market could be the short side of, you know, QQQ as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but honestly, I mean.
No, I mean, something has to go up, right? Somebody's making money. Somebody's always making money in the market. It's not just like, it's not retail's always just hemorrhaging money. Like, there's people that are making money, and you just got to find the right side of that. And I think if you just have, you know, bring in a little bit of, you know, market knowledge, a little bit of technical analysis, I think goes a long way. You don't need all of the indicators in the world. You know, just get something that you're good at, like something that you understand well and understand how it can possibly like move a stock. Like, just pay attention to that. Do what you're good at. There's no reason to, you know, try to deviate and change something if you have something that's working. Now, if you're doing something that's just like totally broken, then you just got to kind of step back and reassess and see how things are actually going, and maybe just come in with a new set of eyes and see if you can find some opportunities there. But don't force things. Do what you're good at. Like, if I do best at finding bull markets, then find a bull market somewhere.
Yeah. I've got a technical question. Sorry, Blaine. I'm going to ask all the questions till I'm out. So, if you are looking at longer time frames, and sometimes that could be days, sometimes it could be weeks, sometimes it could be month over month. Does that impact, are you still then scaling in and out of trades, right? And as a day trader, people talk all the time, like, find your spots, scale in, scale out, and it's very, very important to do that in day trading for a number of reasons, one of them being managing risk. What does that mean to you? Like, does that matter to you at all? Or are you like, I'm not moving the market because the interval is, whatever it is, days, weeks, months, therefore I don't have to do it?
I don't worry so much about like bad entries. Like in options, like you can be absolutely annihilated by taking a bad entry, right? Because you not only have to get the direction right, but you have to get the timing right, which is like insanity. And there's people who are fantastic at it, and like kudos to them, and they get rewarded for such, right?
These two. Not these two.
No, but like if you get the timing and the direction right, like you're killing it and you're rewarded for it. I mean, that's how these people, get 1,000x, returns on investments. But no, I mean, like I don't feel bad. Like if I use my technical analysis and it tells me like this is like an area where I think like there could be a bounce. This is where we could kind of maybe start seeing some reversal here. But if the broader market takes a dump, like what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do. If you're trying to get an entry in something that's been like totally hammered, and then all of a sudden the market is down too, like if you're that stock is going to get absolutely hammered more. There's no way around it because it's easy pickings, right? Because it's already in a downtrend. The TA is all against it. And, if nobody wants to buy it at 20, then you can, great, take advantage, bring it down to 10, who cares? But at the same time, if I bought it at 20 and I have like a 5-year time frame, which seems like insane to some people, but if I have a 5-year time frame and it goes down to 10 and nothing has fundamentally changed about the company, why wouldn't I buy it at 10 if I liked it at 20? Like, so just average in, you can just, nibble some more. I don't think that you should, I think taking like a starting position is like really important. And like getting some skin in the game. I think mentally you pay more attention if you have money on the line all of a sudden. So I think that that's like a good way to get yourself just emotionally invested in a stock. But if it dips more and nothing's changed about the company, if their earnings are going up, their revenue's going up, and the stock's going down, and you think that over time this is a trend that's going to take off, like why wouldn't you average down on it and go back in? And then you don't really worry about like whatever the P&L is, it doesn't matter because who cares? You're not touching it, and that's important. Is like you have to like not look at these long-term things because I know Blaine, I know that you've traded some cannabis stocks in the past, and those things are absolutely slaughtered. And it's like my favorite sector to trade. It's fantastic. But it's absolutely destroyed right now, right? Absolutely destroyed, which I'm all for. I'm like, put it into the ground. I don't care. Put it into the ground. Let me buy more for cheaper. So if you have something that, you really believe in and you think has good fundamentals, like go ahead, go in, like get a starter position. If it gets hammered more, then, maybe you got to average down. But go ahead. Don't be scared. Just because it's going down doesn't mean that you necessarily shouldn't buy it. Like you have to look at it as an opportunity. You're getting it at a discount. Fantastic.
I just started a long-term portfolio, and it's only weed stocks. But I just...
You've been hanging out with Jason for too long.
I know. Well, I mean, they're all Jason stocks, so obviously...
I strongly support that.
Yeah, I mean, he knows more about weed stocks than anyone I personally know, so sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to tell you real quick about the long-term view. I just had this, I guess it was involuntary, but I had a meeting with the administrator of our company's retirement plan. And I think we use AIG, right? And so I was talking about having a rollover meeting to take some other retirement stuff and put it into AIG. And as we were talking about it, the guy's like, hey, man, I noticed that you're really heavily concentrated. Okay, you're 100% in a mid-cap growth fund. And I said, I don't know what I'm in. I haven't done any of this. I don't even know how to log into it. And so we look at it and he's like, yeah, you should think about perhaps diversifying or just getting out of that. And I looked at it, and this was like 4 days ago. And so it's been 35 days in 2022, and year-to-date growth was down 12.5% on a retirement fund. And he's like, or you could just leave it. Like, if you're not going to do anything with this, you don't care until, you're 57.5, then so be it, man. Like, you can just leave it if you want. I would advise that you do something with it, but you could just do nothing and it doesn't matter. And I thought about it and I said, well, one, I'm such a piece of shit for like not looking at this. There's not a lot of money. It really is of no consequence, but it was just funny. It was like, well, you could take the long-term view, which is, hey man, probably shouldn't be in these mid-cap growth funds anymore. But if you are, it's not going to really matter at the end of the day. He just was doing his job by saying you could rotate out of that now and probably make a little more in 2022, but not a huge deal. I thought it was kind of funny. And then I said, you just do it.
Did you tell him that you're the host of a stock market podcast?
We didn't get into that.
Oh, geez.
All right. In my defense, for context, we only have had this for like 10 months. So it's not like I've just been sitting on this for years not looking at it. It's new.
And how long have we had the podcast?
All right, about 10 months. But that's a real definition of you just set it and leave it. So
yeah. And you don't, if you have that long-term view, like who cares what it does? I don't care what it does on the day-to-day, month-to-month, even if it, a year-to-year, like that doesn't matter. If your time frame is long enough, who cares? Like if you don't want to be actively, trading, I think it's just a great way. Pick something that you like, that you believe in, has good fundamentals, you think it's going to obviously go up, and just put some money in it and just forget about it. Don't look at it. Like my day trading account is totally separate from where I have my like long-term funds. Like I don't look at my long-term funds at all. Like that's where you have to put the blinders on and just be like, I believe in what I picked and I'm just going to let it go. And, I just have, my day trading account totally separate.
Do you do TA? Do you chart, Champagne?
Yeah. I like to, I think it's good to set different levels. I'll give props to, I don't know if you guys ever watched the Chart Guys, Dan from the Chart Guys. He has fantastic YouTube videos where he kind of just goes over market sentiment. And, that's probably where I learned a lot, was just from watching his videos and understanding like what to be looking for, like understanding when a consolidation, is kind of coming to an end and, you're going to have a move and, how to act on that and how to identify that. So I think it's very beneficial. And like I said, you don't have to have a lot. Like you don't have to be like Urkel about it and like just poring over charts all the time. But if you see that something was going down and then all of a sudden it started slowly working its way back up, like you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Like investing is not that difficult, right? Like if you can be opportunistic about something and buy something that's beaten down and just wait for it to come back, then that's probably like, what's been most successful for me. It's kind of harder to identify those value stocks and growth or value, and see like what you think is going to be doing the best. Like the growth sector is just absolutely like ruined, and it's got to just come around. And I think it's good to pay attention to market sentiment, like looking at like a much bigger zoomed out view, where you saw all this money that all of a sudden started leaving big tech, Nvidia, AMD for a while, like they were just getting absolutely hammered. Now we have Facebook that's getting absolutely destroyed. And I mean, you could have, if you bet on those 5 years ago, I mean, you crushed it. Like you did absolutely fantastic. But, has that run its course? Is the money going to circulate and start, entering the market somewhere else? That's just something that you need to kind of pay attention to. Like that's what happened with all those small caps, when everybody was really in the boom days of small caps where everybody was making money. But then the money, dried up, started, cycling out of that. And, you had to pay attention and try to figure out where it was going to be going. Because if you bought the dip and it kept dipping, like the money still hasn't come back from that. There's people that, a lot of people that are going to be underwater from those trades, unfortunately. And now you're an investor. Now you're an investor. Now you're going to wait for that to come back, or you got to cut your losses. So it's just, looking at just bigger pictures, that's really what I do. And it's like not hard. It's not hard. You can see what's going up overall, what's going down overall, and just kind of pay attention to where money is going.
Irrational exuberance?
When it comes to killer wine at drastically low prices,
30 to 70% off retail and free shipping.
We live for that here at Last Bottle Wines. Whether you went long or short on GameStop, you'll need a glass of something terrifically tasty.
And we've got the goods.
Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa, California.
One wine every day.
At Black Swan event prices.
Usually 30 to 70% off.
Until poof, it's gone. Whether you're a pound-the-table type,
think ultra-crisp, quaffable Sauvignon Blanc,
or a dividend aristocrat,
Burgundy, or Napa Cab,
there simply is no better place to buy wine on the web.
And they always have free shipping.
Last Bottle has a deal just for Penny Lane listeners. Use promo code PENNY,
that's PENNY,
to save 10% off your next order with Last Bottle.
The code is good for one order and one order only, and it expires March 11th, 2022.
So head over to lastbottlewines.com today. That's lastbottlewines.com.
I think the next time we do this, it'd be it's a stupid exercise, but like if you were to chart like the NASDAQ or something, right, over the next 10 years, like at the rate we're going, it's just going to double again in 10 years, right? It doubled over the last 10 years, it doubled over the last 7 years, not even 10 years. So if you look at it that way and you have a long-term view, it's like, well, my money's just going to double in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, is that actually going to happen? I have no idea. But if you were to chart it out, it's certainly what it looks like. Like it's on a big, I remember 2017, Dow 20,000, and it was such a big deal. And then we just zoomed past 30.
Yeah.
You know, of course, it's waffled some in the year or two since, but it's really interesting to just see like the trajectory it went. It was like, well, if you chart that out, if you actually do some TA on what that looks like, like you could just do nothing over the next 10 years, and apparently we're going to be just fine. So I think, or you could try to get in and get out over the next 10 years and maybe underperform in comparison. But if you take that long-term view, I mean, it looks pretty rosy.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a long enough time frame, I mean, if you buy the top every single time, if you're just talking straight index funds, right? So if you buy SPY at the top in, whatever the peak was in 1992, and then if you buy it again in, 1995, if you're buying peaks, it still, if you have a long enough time frame, it still doesn't matter. Like stocks do generally go up. Not only go up, they do go down. But when they go down, then you can at least be opportunistic and you can, find some bigger returns, like, and do much, much better than if you're, buying at the top of everything. But it's, it's not that complex. It's not that difficult. If you can just pay attention and just try to be aware. Like I'm not the greatest trader in the world. Like I'm definitely not. But I am opportunistic and I pay enough attention at whatever global things are happening that can move markets. When you have COVID come in, when you have the housing market crash. Like if you just pay attention, and if everybody's scared, it takes like a little bit of guts to be like, maybe I should go in and, maybe I should nibble some of this and, see what happens with it over the next, few months or whatever. But you got to be able to take a little bit of risk and try to have higher than average returns just by doing that. And it's not that hard. Like you don't have to trade all the time. You don't have to trade every day. I don't trade every day, but if there's an opportunity, I try to take advantage. That's all.
Mm-hmm. There is one exception, though, Blaine, to what Champagne just said. If you bought at the top, eventually, if you take a long-term horizon, it'll come back. That exception is no key.
Sure.
That stock used to be like in the 60s, in the early 2000s, and it hasn't been above 10 in over a decade, and I don't know if it ever will.
Blaine, if I remember correctly, you played AMC in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how ridiculous my boomer approach to life is. I bought Nokia, common stock, and it was going to be like a 5G play for me, like long term. And then I woke up one day and I'm like, what? Why is everybody all of a sudden talking about Nokia? What the heck is going on? Like, I just like stumbled into this world. It got, pulled in by the whole Wall Street bets gang, and FinTwit was all over it. I'm like, what is going on? This is absolute insanity. It was some like, stupid long-term play that I had. And I'm like, well, I guess that's done. We're out of that one.
Out of that
was good.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Insanity.
Yeah,
I bought your shares. I bought your shares on the.
Thank you.
Have made Justin's money right there.
Yeah. That's awesome. It is a good, well, so speaking of, like, you're looking at things in like long-term, like you said, 5G, you're looking at some of these growth stocks like Meta. Is it not going to be worth 5 times? It's not going to, well, currently it's down 30%. So you said in 5 years, is it going to at least be worth that again, right? The answer would be yes. And then what else is going to be worth, again, the upside of 30% in 5 years? I mean, people are leaving growth stocks, but like, I don't know who it is. Mark Benioff says like we're in a 4th industrial revolution. I'm not smart enough to understand all of that, but what I do know is like, I don't think railroads are coming back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, like, I understand people are getting out of growth for other things. There's a lot of options out there, but like, there's some stuff that's not coming back. And like, again, railroad is certainly one of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's where you have to have like a little bit of foresight and try to have like just a little bit of vision as to where things are going. Like what's going to be big. Like obviously like 3D printing is going to be like a much bigger role in our industry than it is right now. Like that's going to be bigger because it's just easier to make customized parts. Everybody's going to have access to it. It's going to get cheaper. It's going to grow. That's going to be big. Obviously, I'm super biased for cannabis stocks because, like, would you buy, stock in Jack Daniels during Prohibition? Like, probably. Everybody in retrospect would be like, oh, yeah, it definitely should have been part of, Jack Daniels. Geez. So that's that's another, like, long-term thing. Like, what's happening in the crypto world? Like, where is that going to go? There's a lot of, uncertainty with it right now, but I think that's going to start panning out as countries start laying out whatever their laws and regulations are going to be for things, and that's where you just kind of have to have like an ear to the ground and try to pay attention to what direction are things going to start moving, with a positive direction. Like Bitcoin finally starting to come back a little bit, but looking at that bigger long-term thing, like where is this going to go? Is there going to be major adoption? Like, is it going to be Ethereum? Is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be Ripple? Like what's going to be the winner? And just trying to like look into that and try to understand what's the limiting factor. Like, I mean, they all function very differently. What are countries going to be looking for? That's going to be the defining factor that's going to pick which coins are going to be, most widely utilized. I mean, Bitcoin is king right now, but, their transactions are slow. And this is all from like a superficial knowledge of this thing. Like, I don't understand what a blockchain is, but that doesn't mean that I can't understand like how like a winner is going to be picked. Like, somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to come out on top. And if you can just, nibble a little bit of that on the way up, then fantastic.
Yeah. We're in Tezos.
Yeah.
What?
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. It's about to be
Pump
very public knowledge.
Pump it.
Yeah, we're in the Tezos.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Because that's where my NFTs
good
are.
coin.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's personal.
Yeah.
So.
It's personal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000%, but that's like, I think we're around the same age. We're a little bit too young to talk at a intellectual level about the .com bubble, but it's like kind of the same thing, right? It's like, which one's going to be the winner? A lot of those were losers, if not 90, 95% of them, right? But there were some winners. Like, I mean, Mark Cuban sold a website for $2 billion while a lot of people lost their $2 billion on paper, right? So some people did just fine.
Yeah. And that's where you have to be able to do like a little bit of research and just try to understand like, you know, like what's making these companies go, like what's their vision? How do they plan on monetizing these things? And where's the money going to flow? Because, you know, eventually, as soon as, you know, the institutional investors start taking their big lumps, they're gonna identify the winners. And if you can have any sort of edge, and either be smart enough to watch the flow of where money is going, or even better, if you can do a little bit of due diligence and come up with, you know, what you think the best bet is going to be and where you think, you know, the big institutional money is going to run, then you can really capitalize on it.
Yeah.
I agree. I love crypto. Blaine, what else you got?
I don't know. I've learned a lot here. I think I've been getting a lot of like universe signs about sort of more doing this way, like certainly from Jason, and that we had a big I had a big episode with him and Hugh that will be coming out soon. And then we interviewed a woman. That episode hasn't come out either, but when this comes out, it will come out, I guess, named Rhino Horn, I think was her name. It was a tough name to say. And she just kept talking about like trading and then putting your profits into blue chip companies, recycling them into blue chip companies. Yeah. And she just kept saying the phrase bulletproof. Like it makes you bulletproof. And like that makes, you know, Justin and I always talk about things that like feel good in my brain. Like that process like does feel really good. Unfortunately, I don't have, enough trading profits right now to do that. But eventually I think that'd be a very nice stress-free way to do it. When I was interviewing Jason this last time, Jason, the Wolf of Weed Street, he said that he's still trading with the same $10,000 he started with. He just like continues to multiply those profits.
Right.
That's gotta be a good feeling, but it is bulletproof. And I always liken it to gambling. I'm sorry, but if you're at a blackjack table and every so often you just put your winnings in your pocket, like it's bulletproof. You could leave that table with no money on the table and be up 50% for what's in your pocket.
Do you
it's
do
the
that?
same thing as like,
oh yeah,
I have twice and it's worked both times.
Got to do it.
The other million times? No, the other million times I don't do it. And look what happens. I always walk out of there with nothing but a couple tears and a cheeseburger. But if the 2 times I've done it, it works every time. It is bulletproof. And it's like, wow, that sucks. I lost everything on the table except it's like the Hangover where it's like I got $10,000 of chips in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same thing as what Rhino Horn was saying, is you just put it into blue chips. You can't, I mean, if that's your winnings, you can't lose it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I started doing with, you know, like my day trading account when, like I was just kind of letting it go and kind of grow and be its own thing. And I tried to keep my percentage wise of sizing proportionate to what my account was. And like, as soon as you think you're getting smart, like the market every single time will punch you in the mouth and you'll be like, what? Wait, what just happened? I thought I had this on lock. So, you know, I think I found like a comfortable, amount of money that I like day trading with. And then, you know, at the end of the month, just like take it off, put it away. Like you won the game. So like enjoy the profits. If you want to, you know, celebrate with something, go ahead and celebrate. Like I bought my fiance a dog, bought an engagement ring. Like those were like things that like I did. And now it's just like tuck it away, put it in the long term. Like you won. Congratulations.
I mean, it's all relative, right? I don't want a dog. So
okay, that's offensive.
I can't put my winnings into it. No, it's true. That's great. Blaine, what else you got? You got baby brain?
Well, I mean, no, well, maybe.
It sounds like you do. It sounds like you do.
I just think it's just good, sage advice. You know, I don't have a ton of questions because there's nothing I want to like poke holes in. I think you're right, and you explained it well. You have a good grasp of the English language.
I got one thing that I'm kind of putting together while you're talking is that, like, imagine day trading with that same mindset. I feel like you wouldn't do anything that risky, right? You'd never outdo your risk to reward ratio. Like, if you're thinking, I get it. They're not the same thing. Day trading and long-term investing. But if we're talking about the mindset of long-term investing, like, it's going to go up eventually, or, you know, I'm going to take some chips off the table and preserve my winnings. And if you think about day trading the same way, like, I don't know, how much more successful could you really be, right? I'm not saying like let the day trade ride for 5 years and hold a bag. Like, that's not what I mean. But your approach to it and your mindset, I wonder how much more successful you'd be, because you just, like, the risk reward, it's not really an analysis. It's just kind of an innate understanding while you're day trading. It's like, I just do this because I take a long-term view of it, right?
Yeah. And I think if you can, if you understand that you got to take whatever the market gives you, like if you go green on a trade, like, okay, that's great. But like, you hit your target, like, get out, like, start scaling, like, do your part and execute the trade. And so, I mean, I love the stock market. Like, I love it. When I come home from work, I just, sit down and I just take a look at, like I said, my favorite stocks, see what they're, how they're looking. And, I wish that I had the time to day trade more, because I think it's so fun. It's so interesting. It's so challenging. It's like, it's a huge mental game with really yourself. You have to be able to identify like a good pattern, find an entry point, understand what your risk is, understand, your target reward, but then on top of that, be able to execute it. It's like golf, right? I don't know if you guys have ever golfed, but it's a huge mental game.
Oh, we've golfed.
Like, you might absolutely shank a shot, but you're like, okay, all right, I'm in a bad spot right now, but I have to figure out how I can get back on track. Like, where can I put this next shot to better my chances to, come out with a good score? And so, that's just what trading is. Sometimes you just got to forget about those bad trades, obviously try to take a lesson from it, identify what you did wrong, but you can't be scared. You can't be afraid, and you just got to go after it. And that's just that's a big mental mindset. Our friend Shark, he's a huge preacher on the mental toughness and kind of psychology that goes into trading, and just being aware of how do you feel that day? Are you feeling good? Do you feel like you're gonna be able to execute these things? Is it gonna be a good day for you? Did you get in a fight with your mom? Like, what's going on with you? And just understanding that. And so, like, I always look at, like, big, huge time frames, and it's easy to look at like big, like, macro world events and stuff. But when you look at smaller time frames, you have to be cognizant of like what's happening in that smaller time frame. Like, how do I feel right now? Like, what is the market doing? Like, is there somebody important that's going to be speaking that could possibly move the market right now? And so you just have to kind of cone everything down into that one little spot. And I think that that's where you can bring, transfer some of the skills that you have from, just investing, which is boring and, not super exciting to talk about. But you can apply those to day trading, where you just have to, shorten the time frame and see what's going on right now, right this instant.
I had another terrible self-realization while you were talking, Champagne, and you were talking about golf, and it was the mental aspect, and how your mentality outside of trading, what that does, and I think that's a very good indicator of what you'll do as a trader, right? Like, are you risk on? Are you risk off? And if so, are you able to control that risk? Do you manage it, or do you not do that? And I actually was playing golf last Friday with Blaine's brother, And there we are on the 18th hole in the match, and there's water, and you have to fly it like 280 yards to get over.
Yeah.
I'm not very good, and there's a safer play, and I put the ball on the ground and immediately just line up to hit it 280 yards. And he's like, "Wow, you love to see that line." Guess where that ball went? Of course, it went right in the water. I probably didn't even think it was even possible to clear it, but of course I'm going to just try it because I'm not very smart when it comes to managing risk.
Right.
And I think that's a very good indicator of what happens when I trade. Like, that's full tilt. That's not smart, but can't help it.
Yeah, hey, you got a 30% win. That's awesome. Maybe it's not worth putting on social media and you're not going to get hundreds of thousands of followers. But you know what? A green trade's a green trade. Like, you did good. Like, you won the trade. What you wanted to happen happened. Congratulations. So, like, fantastic. Take advantage of that. Like, I think I do feel bad. Like, I wasn't aware of FinTwit when I was like involved with the market. I didn't know like it was like a thing. And then, I eventually stumbled upon to the mess that's FinTwit, and everybody's has like huge gains. Everybody's just absolutely crushing it all the time, and you're like, oh well, I made $100 today. And I think that's terrible because you made $100 today. Like, somebody came up, handed you $100 bill, and you can be like, oh, this is fantastic. This is $100 more than I had. And I think that's like a big win. And I do feel bad for people who like are getting into trading because of, FinTwit, and see, how these massive gains people are putting up. And like, honestly, for the vast majority of people, it's totally unrealistic. Like, that's not going to be your turns. Like, you need to be happy with what the market gives you and be willing to take that off the table when it does give you any sort of win. So I was lucky that I kind of missed a lot of the FinTwit craze. Like, obviously I'm there now, and it's fun. It is fun. I will give it that. But I think that there's lots of young people out there that just don't understand trading and don't understand the risk. And, sometimes there's some terrible, terrible things that you see people just uneducated about the market do, which is unfortunate. And, just chasing big numbers and losing, massive amounts of money at, young ages, when I'm like, you should just maybe buy a total index fund and just, good job. You're 19. You're going to have a lot of money at the end. Trust me. Just let it go. Just let it go. But it's, my approach isn't flashy or sexy. It's not. So I know it, and it's okay. I take a lot of shit for it, and it's fine. But I have a goal. My goal, I don't want to work forever. That's my long-term goal. So, I'll do what I think I need to do, which will best set me up to reach that goal.
Cool goal.
That's my rant.
Blaine, you want to work forever?
No.
But I do like.
Hey,
some
people
like working.
do.
Do like it, yeah.
Yeah, some people do.
But like, I'd like to work like for fun, like just make a couple paintings. If someone wants to buy them,
that's different.
That'd be great. If not, doesn't matter.
So, Blaine, do you understand NFTs now?
Oh, good question.
I understand them more than I did, but I have a consultant who's helping me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you understand how to make money? Is that part clear?
That's important.
Well, if people buy them, I make money. And then if people buy them and then sell them, then I get 6% of that sale price into perpetuity.
Okay. We got the fundamentals down. All right.
That's fantastic.
How much more do you need to know?
You know me. I like to go in with about 10% knowledge and just
10%. We'll figure out that. We'll feel it out. See how things are going. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And after this, when I release my second collection, I'll know a lot more than I did with my first collection. That's how I've done it my whole life.
True.
You just got to start.
That's true, though. That's true. You just got to jump in, right?
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
You do.
Got to do it.
You're right.
If I sat there and tried to learn, like, I'm not even 100% on like what the Dow is. Here we are like 60 episodes in. If I needed to know every single thing about the stock market before I started, I'd just be like, screw it. That's not happening.
Yeah.
That's a good point, right? It's like if you dumb it down to opening a store, right? Like if you never put anything in the store, then of course you can't sell anything, right? Like you have to start by at least stocking it up or at least putting something out there for sale. And then you could have mispriced it, right? Like you could come in there and I could have a store and sell $1,000, but my rent was 10 for the month. Like, ooh, I probably should adjust my prices, right? Like, but you don't know.
Think about my
you would think you can
art career, right? That king, people love the king. I love the king. Do you know the balls it took to like draw that for the first time and be like, it's a weird looking guy, but I'm going to go hang it in this gallery and we're just going to see. And it like made my entire career. I didn't know that at the time, but it just like caught fire. Right. But if I had like sat there and really been like, is this king like, do I like the king? Is the king speaking to me? No, I'm just like, gotta do it.
You just gotta do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta jump in and just say, hey, let's figure this out. Like just bringing it back to trading, like you can paper trade as much as you want, but as soon as it's your actual money, like the game changes. Like when you're up 1%, you're like, oh, let's go, baby. Like it's like you might have been paper trading and, been up millions of dollars, but it changes so massively when you finally jump in and just say like, let's do it. Like, let's figure it out. And it's like that in everything in life. Sometimes you got to just take the risk, take the step, and you're going to be out of your comfort zone, like me on this podcast. You're going to be out of your comfort zone, and you just got to do it. And just like, that's how you grow. That's how you become, a better person and learn more about the world. You got to put yourself out there.
Yep. I just did that with options.
Yeah.
Do I understand?
That's all I was going to say. That's your
freaking IV? Not really. Like, there's tons of shit about it that I don't know. But if I tried to learn it all, I would have psyched myself out. And just on the singles and doubles episode, I was telling him, I was like, somebody told me the best way to learn options was to buy an option. So that's what I did. And then now I'm 100% devoted to options. And singles and doubles said, well, you've got the jersey on. You're in the game now. And like, what am I going to do? I'm in the freaking basketball game. Someone's going to throw me the ball. Like, what do you do? What do I do? Freeze and not try to make the shot or whatever? No, it's not who I am.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to be, okay. First off, all options traders are like just slightly off. Like everybody's got to have a little bit of crazy in them to be like, I'm going to totally nail this. I'm going to totally nail this. And then I think there's like a day of reckoning probably everybody has where you're like, wow, I got absolutely smoked. Like my very first option trade I ever made was like, I've only been trading options for like a year, but it was like a year ago. And it was an NVIDIA trade. I didn't even know what scaling was. And it absolutely like ripped face. And I'm like, oh, wow, I made like $600 in like 5 minutes. I'm going to be a billionaire. This is the easiest thing in the world. And then I proceeded to lose money for a month. And then you kind of got to gather yourself and be like, oh, okay, there's strategies here.
Yeah.
But you got to make that initial jump. You got to take the risk.
I mean, I also took the risk of saying on the podcast that I didn't understand how to see this was like 2 months ago. It feels like a different world. Like I didn't understand how to see how the option was moving. Well, then someone had to show me that you watch the option on its own chart or whatever. And now I know how to do that. And I got my whole TOS set up and I can trade on the ladder and did it. It's like the amount that I've grown in 6 weeks is incredible. But if 6 weeks ago I'd just been like, I'm too afraid.
So in 6 weeks from now, you're going to be the NFT queen. Like you're going to come back and we're going to interview you for 60 minutes on NFTs.
I can't wait.
I will have to say that the trading is like bad as I've been and as much money as I've lost, I've never doubted myself that I could do it, which is weird. Like, any sane person would look at me and be like, you got to stop. But I've just been like, I'm going to figure this out. And then my art, you know, I put my art out there. I never doubt that it's fine. Like, people are buying it. I have no self-doubt. The NFTs, I don't have a lot of feeling one way or the other. Like, if I put it out there and it totally flops, I have no attach. Like, I'm like, well, I tried. Like, you know, but I have less of a, I have to make this work. Like I do about trading, and I had about art for a long time until I made it work. So if the NFTs work, that's awesome. If they don't, that's fine. But if I'm a full-time artist and a full-time trader and I don't try to make an NFT, then like, shame on me.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, you got
the marriage of the two.
I think you're doing it right? You just jumped in. You said, I got to do it. Like, obviously, this is kind of like adjacent to my whole field. Got to just, you know, see how the water is over there and check it out. So, like, kudos to you for jumping in. And, like, if you understand what a blockchain is, seriously, somebody tell me. Somebody tell me what a blockchain is. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I have to think of it in my mind as like an actual metal chain that you can like insert new links into to lengthen it.
Oh,
that's the
I like that more. I need tangibles. I can't. I am the opposite of you, Blaine. I have zero artistic ability. It's just I am driven by facts, and that's it. I can't. There's no left-handedness here. Like my left hand, if I chopped it off, it'd be fine. I would be fine without it. I'm not artistic. I am not creative. I'm just based on numbers and data. That's like how I live my entire life.
Which is a great thing.
It's fine.
I look stupid enough. I refuse to try to explain it and then just get lost. So we're not going to go there.
It's an okay explanation if you think of it as just like a long metal chain, and then you just keep putting links. You just keep putting links into it, and so like my NFTs,
and then each link you get 6%.
Will be a link forever in this chain.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how the value. I don't. That's it.
Three people who don't understand the blockchain at all talking about the blockchain is fantastic content. People love that.
Painful.
You're like, well, it's a metal chain, and you link it.
It's empathy. We're empathetic. I mean, that is the most relatable thing you can do. Is three people blabbering about something they don't know, and the listeners are like, "Well, shit, I don't know either."
Yeah, we're so relatable now.
Or else I get like 15 DMs like, I will need to come on the podcast now and explain what a blockchain is.
So that you just gave up our spot. That's how we get people on the podcast. Is they're like, "Hey, dum-dums, I'd love to spend an hour educating you on what this is." And now Blaine blew our cover.
Dang it.
Hey, Blaine, I have one last question for you.
Oh.
Do people ask you for trading advice on Twitter?
It's sometimes. Which is...
It's insanity, right?
Why? Why would someone ask me for advice? But sometimes people ask me to like private mentor them. I'm like, mentor you to lose money? Like, go ask Shark. Like, he can teach you. Or like the array.
Take your money, put it in the toilet, flush it. There you go. I saved you a lot of time and a lot of palpitations. Trust me, your heart will feel better. Yes. Just flush it away. And sometimes people will like sometimes ask me if they should stay in a stock or not, and I'm like, sell it immediately. But yeah, I'm not. We're out.
I can't give any advice. I can't even like feed my children dinner.
I know, that's why I rarely like mention anything in our trading group, because I'm like, I don't want that evil on me.
No.
Like, I'm putting in my best effort, but I can't put that on my shoulders.
No.
Like, oh,
No.
God bless those people who do that professionally every single day.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I had a very bad experience in a Discord where I made a call and it knifed, and there were like some people in it, and I responded by leaving the Discord.
It's not for me anymore. I can't. No, thank you.
And then from there on out, I just can't. Like, you notice.
I didn't like the group anyway.
At the end of the day, when I post my trades, they're all closed. Like, I took this by myself.
One of these times, Lane, you're just not gonna show up to our group. You're gonna be gone, and I'll be like, because she thought that Target was gonna moon, never took off.
She made
a
bad
really
call.
believed in Target.
Yeah, I mean, you trade with me every single day. I'm just like, excuse me, what's a golden cross?
To be fair, most of the time people are talking about trading, and we're like kids dancing in the corner, like, oh, what are you doing today?
Right.
What's going on?
Have I taken advantage of 90% of the good part of that group? No. But am I there to get into the real nitty gritty on?
Yeah. Yes. Whatever needs to be dissected to an unnecessary depth, we are.
That's us.
Blaine and I are there.
Right.
We are ready for it. What rabbit hole are we going down?
Right.
We're interested.
If it's PG-13 or over and you want to get granular on a subject, we're there for that.
Yeah, let's pick it apart. Let's figure out what this is.
Right, but if you want to know if you should like take calls on something,
we're not really sharing that information.
I couldn't tell you.
That's not what we're there for. Okay, everybody, we are the decorative vase in the corner that adds some life, a little flair, a little pizzazz, but like the nitty gritty, like the actual like structure of like a nice sofa that's not us. We're there for fun.
Right.
We're there for entertainment.
We're the $5 tchotchke that you picked up to finish the room.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're the trinkets you sprinkle around just to be like, oh, wow, these guys, look at how fun they are. They got all this going on. And be like, they haven't called a play in a year. That's a long time to just be. Are they even trading?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just pop in and go market.
Cheap laughs. Cheap laughs.
As if I'm like at all involved in that. But
we just hope everybody had a good time. You know, that's it. That's all we're there for.
Adding some laughs on the bad days. Anyway, if you want to trade with the two of us, not Justin, where can you find us?
We are in the Shark Tank, run by _Shark Trader. A lot of fake ones out there on Twitter, but you can go ahead and find him there. Mm-hmm. He is great at his mentorship and psychology of trading. I think that's where, I definitely learned, honestly, everything I know about options is from that group. So I have to give a lot of props to those guys, not only like Shark, but a lot of the people who are there as well. I spent a lot of time working with Sharkavelli. We were both in the medical field, so we kind of hit it off, and he really, put me on his back and taught me everything that he knows. And so I'm grateful for everybody in there. Everybody's very collaborative and always sharing ideas. And, then it's Blaine and I for the laugh.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You know what? I've said this before on the podcast, so could be that people have heard it, but Shark never listens. Like, I say, like, nice things about him. He never listens. But
he never has.
I have learned to be real patient, like, really patient from him. And then, before I met Shark, no joke, I was taking, like, 40 trades a day.
What? Mm-hmm. Are you? How?
I was just trading penny stocks. I had my margin account. I was in and out. And today I took 3. He also taught me.
That's a normal human amount.
Yes. He also taught me about position size. That was over my head for a long time. So, I've learned some things. I'm doing better. So thanks, Shark.
Sometimes you take all of the money and you put it on SoFi because you know it's gonna rip, and then you hit that 10% day and you're out. Then that's it. But sometimes maybe you should only use like maybe 10% of your account value.
Sure.
Maybe that's more appropriate.
Sure. I'm learning that.
Maybe.
I'm learning that. There were times when I had my account was like $25,000 where I was just putting the whole thing in like DWAC for like 10 minutes. I don't do that anymore.
What?
That sounds like
Who are
I
you?
know.
Who are you?
I know. Just like
Jesus.
$25,000 trades. Boom!
I can't believe you survived that.
Barely.
Jeez.
Barely.
But if it had just ripped.
We'd be sitting pretty. It never ripped.
This podcast would be dead. We wouldn't see Blaine again. She's gone.
I wouldn't need a podcast. I wouldn't need to trade. I would just be living my life. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Oh.
I was just gonna say I'm sorry. I can't believe that you made it through a lot of mistakes, and I think that's important because every trader makes mistakes. There's stuff you don't know and you learn along the way, but you made it. You're on the backside where you're coming to understand that you don't know everything. And if you can make it through and survive and pay the market tuition, which everybody has to pay, and then you just, if you can build on that, like, good for you, Blaine.
Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. I think it's true. Like, if I haven't completely lost all my money and gotten myself out of the game in 2 years, like, just get me in a good bull market.
Yeah.
Just rage the market.
I mean, well, we were in a fantastic bull market.
Well, I didn't do as great in 2020 and 2021 as the rest of freaking America, okay? 2020, I was full porting stuff, and it would, like, drop a little bit, and then I'd freak out.
Well, yeah, you were putting in $25K on every play.
Pretty much, yeah. Ooh, Fubo. Ooh, I just go all in on that.
You're in a relationship with AMC, right? Is that over?
It's over. And then I tried to do options on AMC, and I was like, she is really a bitch.
She is sassy.
I know.
She is sassy.
I know. Give me Lucid just in a nice downtrend. Like, eventually that thing's going to just die, and I'm going to ride it all the way down. That's fine. AMC's like...
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're a bear flag aficionado.
Love a bear
right?
flag.
Love a bear flag.
Yeah. And sometimes, just between you and me, when I say go market...
You don't mean it.
You never know. You never know.
She's in put.
Yeah. All right, guys, this was amazing. You see, Quinn is in here to signal the end of the episode.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. It was definitely unexpected, but I'm so happy to share my boomer knowledge with everybody. And, I hope your friend has a happy, healthy baby, by the way. Congratulations.
Me too.
To them.
Thank you. Yeah. Big deal.
Thank you, Dr. Shamps.
We won't say my other name.
All right. Well, I hope you come back on. Love to have you back anytime.
Anytime. I appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate what you guys are doing to help, educate everybody. It's I think, getting good information from people that understand a little bit what they're doing can be really beneficial rather than just buying some pump and dump. So totally. I'm thankful for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. We are coming to the end of our last bottle wine promo. As a reminder, use the code PENNY and get 10% off your order. If you like wine, this is a no-brainer. The wine is incredible. It's gone through a rigorous process, making sure that it tastes good, it's a good value, it's the lowest price you'll find on the internet. And with code PENNY, you get an additional 10% off your order for one time. So make sure you use that before March 11th.
That's lastbottlewines.com.
Thank you so much to our producer Joel Edwards and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane Podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane Podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane Podcast. The Penny Lane Podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and or links referenced herein.